Unveiling the hidden truths of end time prophecies and their universal implications. I never expected a single dream to change everything. But that night, as I sank into sleep, the weight of untold stories pressed down on my chest. My mind drifted into shadows, threading through a tapestry woven with fear and wonder. Strange symbols danced before my closed eyes, flickering like fireflies in the darkness. I could feel the pulse of ancient wisdom, the whispers of forgotten gods. Each symbol unraveling before me felt urgent, electric. I woke to a world painted in hues of dread and anticipation. The sun peeked through my window, soft yet harsh, illuminating my trembling hands. I couldn't shake the feeling that something deep and unsettling was awakening within me. Outside, the trees swayed as if sharing secrets with the wind. The silence felt loaded, as if nature itself was holding its breath. I wandered outside, drawn to the gardens where life blossomed, yet I couldn't help but feel the shadows creeping in. There were stories I was missing. Moments captured in the hurried rustle of leaves, in the distant cries of birds. What did they know that I didn't? The sky turned a vivid canvas of swirling clouds and omen? My heart raced. I tried to meditate beneath the old oak tree, searching for clarity. But only more questions bubbled up from the depths of my thoughts. What was the meaning of the eerie dreams? Was it merely my mind playing tricks, or was there a higher message waiting to be unveiled? Each heartbeat echoed louder, prompting me to seek answers, to step deeper into the mysteries that bound me. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the world in dusky purples, a shiver ran down my spine. I felt watched. A flicker in the corner of my eye caught my attention. Was it a bird, or something more? My breath hitched. The air was thick, and the world seemed to pulse with unspoken energy. It clung to me, wrapping me in a cocoon of longing. I craved resolution and clarity but found only entanglement and a raw, desperate need to understand. Then, amidst the growing night, a shooting star streaked across the sky, blurring the line between reality and dreams. A wish? A warning? My heart tightened as I stared up in amazement. The night held its breath, waiting. Waiting for what? Was this the beginning of something monumental, or a sign I'd missed? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air turned cooler, embracing the shadows that crept closer. I felt an inexplicable pull toward the old stone path leading away from home. Every step echoed with a haunting sense of purpose. As the moon rose, casting silvery light on my path, something stirred within the depths of my spirit. I ventured further into the tangled woods, their thick foliage a reminder of the intertwined fates we are yet to uncover. In the heart of the forest, I stumbled across a small clearing, illuminated by moonlight. There was a weathered stone altar at its center, covered in moss and etched with markings that seemed to shimmer under the celestial glow. The symbols felt familiar, resonating like a heartbeat in my chest. I knelt down, running my fingers over the cool surface, and a sudden surge of energy rushed through me. It felt as if the stone was alive, whispering secrets of ancient wisdom. As I sat in this sacred space, I closed my eyes, allowing the sounds of the forest to envelop me, rustling leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, the rhythmic chirping of crickets. With each breath, time warped, I felt suspended between moments, experiencing echoes from the past. Visions formed: ruffled robes of ascetics, sacred gatherings around fire pits, ecstatic chants that merged seamlessly with the elements. Were they the guardians of knowledge long lost, or mere reflections of my imagination? Suddenly, the air thickened with a palpable pressure. I opened my eyes to see a figure materializing from the shadows, ethereal yet imposing. She wore a crown of intertwined branches adorned with luminescent blossoms, her presence both comforting and fearsome. "You seek truth," she said, her voice resonating like a bell. But truth is a labyrinth with many paths, some leading to enlightenment, others to despair. Are you prepared to walk through the shadows? Her gaze locked onto mine, and I felt stripped bare, vulnerable beneath her piercing insight. I nodded, drawn into the depths of her eyes that seemed to hold the cosmos within them. What do you wish to understand? She continued, her tone both challenging and inviting. I hesitated, the weight of my inquiry heavy on my tongue. The dreams, the signs, what do they mean? What am I meant to do? My voice trembled as unease washed over me, knowing that I was on the brink of something profound. She stepped closer, and the air shimmered, wrapping around me in tendrils of light and darkness. The dreams are whispers of forgotten realms, the signs are echoes from the universe. You must discern, not every revelation brings clarity. These visions are pieces of a puzzle, but the whole picture eludes you still. Embrace the uncertainty, within it lies your greatest lesson. As her words lingered in the air, I felt a connection with the very fabric of existentia, realization that my journey was intertwined with others who had come before me and would come after. Each choice I made, every question I asked, rippled through time, held together by threads of destiny. Before I could voice another thought, she raised her hand, and a vision unfolded before my mind's eye. I saw vast landscapes shifting, mountains crumbling, seas boiling, and people of different eras caught in interwoven destinies. Faces stared back at me, some familiar, others unknown. I understood then that my search was part of a larger tapestry woven with threads of hope, fear, and endless possibilities. Suddenly, a chill swept through the clearing, and she began to dissolve into the mist, a smile lingering on her lips. Remember, the journey shapes the seeker, she whispered, her voice fading like the twilight. Seek the wisdom in your dreams, for the greatest revelations often lay hidden within the chaos. Alone yet ignited by her presence, I stumbled back to the stone altar, breathless. What revelations awaited me in the night? I gazed up at the stars, nebulous whispers swirling in the darkness, as they beckoned for answers I had yet to seek. What was the labyrinth I would unearth? How could I find clarity in the midst of confusion? And as I turned to leave, the question echoed brighter than the stars above. What if the truth I sought was not meant to be fully grasped but rather experienced as I wandered through the shadows? Stepping away from the stone altar, the weight of the encounter with the ethereal figure lingered within me. Her words resonated through the woods, intertwining with the gentle rustle of leaves. There was an invitation, a beckoning to delve deeper into the unknown. Without thinking, my feet guided me further into the dense woods, each step reclaimed by the perennial whispers of the forest. As I ventured deeper, a faint glow began to illuminate the path ahead. The light was soft and soothing, swirling like mist around the gnarled branches. I hesitated for a moment, listening to the eternal rhythm of the surroundings, the pulse of life that thrummed beneath my feet. The deeper I went, the more the atmosphere shifted, wrapping around me like a warm embrace. It felt as if the forest itself recognized my journey, guiding me to some hidden truth. The source of the glow emerged slowly, a circular grove surrounded by massive trees, their trunks ancient and wise. In the center stood a luminous orb, hovering just above the ground, pulsating with a radiant energy that captivated my senses. Drawn in by its brilliance, I stepped into the grove, sensing a shift in my essence, a profound invitation to explore the depths of this mysterious realm. As I drew closer, the orb began to flicker, releasing waves of colors that danced in the air, hints of cerulean blue, vibrant emerald, and fiery crimson blending together in a kaleidoscope of emotions. I could feel a stirring inside me, an awakening of dormant parts that had lay silent, waiting for this moment. I reached out, my fingers brushing against the orb's surface, and instantly, a rush of images flooded my mind. Visions of great sages and seers unfolded before me. They were standing upon mountaintops, their hands raised toward the sky, channeling energies that cascaded like waterfalls of light. I felt their wisdom seep into my being, intertwining timeless truths with my present. Knowledge of the cycles of life, the connection between heart and cosmos, and the importance of vulnerability in forging true strength flooded my consciousness. Yet, intertwined with these revelations were shadows, visions of despair and division, a world torn by fear and isolation. I saw echoes of the past where souls wandered aimlessly, lost in conflict, blinded by their own certainty. The juxtaposition was haunting, reminding me that truth bears both illumination and chaos, often coexisting within the same breath. With repentance swelling within me, I withdrew my hand from the orb, allowing the visions to settle. It was as if the light had peeled back layers of my understanding, showing me what lay hidden beneath my conscious mind. I understood then that the truth I sought was not merely a destination but a journey through acknowledgement and acceptance of both light and dark. After lingering in the grove, I felt the weight of responsibility pressing upon my heart. What path must I take? I whispered into the darkness. The given visions echoed in response, a reflection of choice over certainty. I could turn away from the shadows, perpetuating a cycle of avoidance, or embrace them, allowing their wisdom to guide me toward collective healing. Standing absorbed in reflection, I realized I was but a fragment of this intricate universe with a role to play. Every exploration of truth, every embrace of shadow would ripple outward, potentially sowing seeds of change. Yet uncertainty weighed heavy on my heart, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of existence. As the grove's glow began to fade, leaving a haunting afterimage in my mind, a new urge surged within me, an unresolved longing. If truth lies not just in the answers we seek, but in the questions we dare to ask, then what questions must I explore next? And what shadows loom on the horizon, eager to be understood rather than feared? Emerging from the grove transformed, I set my resolve to honor the journey within the labyrinth, to reveal these hidden truths through exploration, and to invite vulnerability into my soul's next chapter. With every step, I carried this newfound awareness, a flicker of light amid the vast shadows, questioning where it might lead. The path stretched further into the woods, illuminated by fragmented beams of twilight. The air carried an electric anticipation, a whisper of change rustling through the leaves like a secret waiting to be revealed. Each step I took seemed to echo with the murmur of the orb's energy, grounding me in my resolve while urging my spirit to remain open to new possibilities. As I wandered, thoughts began swirling in my mind, interlaced with the teachings of the sages. Shadows danced alongside my burgeoning understanding, nudging me to confront my vulnerabilities. The weight of the world pressed upon me. I was a vessel, embodying the collective search for meaning amid chaos. The enormity of my realizations threatened to pull me under, yet the warmth of hope flickered within, igniting a determination to seek still deeper truths. In my reflections, the word prophecy echoed, conjuring images of ancient wisdom entwined with visions of a world on the brink. What burdens did these prophecies hold, and how could their echoes illuminate the path ahead? As if in answer to my rumination, I found myself in a secluded glen, where the trees parted to reveal a bubbling stream, its water sparkling like stars under the veil of dusk. Kneeling beside the stream, I cupped my hands to collect the cool water, the rushing sound harmonizing with the wild pulse of my heart. In that stillness, a figure emerged, an old woman with skin like bark and eyes reflecting the depths of the sea. She sat upon a mossy stone, her presence radiating wisdom as profound as the ages themselves. I felt drawn to her, inexplicably connected, as if we had met before in some ethereal plane. Child of the cosmos, what burden do you carry? Her voice, gentle yet powerful, sent ripples through the quiet glen. I hesitated, choosing my words carefully. I'm searching for understanding the prophecies of the end times, the mysterious truths that lie hidden within them. How do they relate to our existence now? She smiled softly, her eyes shimmering with secrets. Time is but a tapestry, woven from all moments, all intentions. Every prophecy carries a duality foretelling both endings and beginnings. It is the thread of the past intertwining with the present that could illuminate the future. I felt an awakening in her words, yet my heart was tangled in uncertainty. But does the path not lead to despair? Is it not hopelessness that often follows when gazing upon such prophecies? Her laughter danced in the air like chimes caught in a breeze. To see despair is to understand its roots. Hold space for that which is dark if you wish to find the light. It is through the darkness that the most radiant stars are born. What exists in certainty is merely illusion. Embrace the questions that provoke fear and awareness alike. The old woman gestured toward the rushing stream. When water flows, it shapes the stones along its path, forging its journey through relentless persistence. Seek not to evade the uncertainties but to find strength in them. What is it that your heart truly seeks? Her inquiry settled heavily in the air, and I sensed a challenge laced within her tone. It was no longer merely about understanding. I recognized a deeper pull, the necessity to confront my own darkness, to integrate it. I seek to walk a path of truth, to weave the threads of light into the shadows, yet the fear of failure grips me. I confessed, "Fear is but a herald of change, child," she replied, her gaze unwavering. "To falter is to live. Let it guide you rather than bind you. Embrace your journey, for it is yours to shape, not mine or anyone else's." As the sun dipped below the trees, painting the sky with hues of lavender and gold, I felt an inkling of liberation beginning to stir within me. Perhaps the end times were not solely a forecast of doom but a call to transformation, an invitation to shift focus from mere survival to conscious co-creation. I pondered how that shift might harmonize fragmented spirits, weaving together our shared destinies in meaningful ways. With a heartfelt nod, I understood that the journey ahead was rich with both challenges and revelations, awaiting my readiness to confront them. As I rose to leave, I looked back at the wise woman, her features blending into the elements until she appeared as a part of the very woods. The stream flowed on, its melody now an anthem of possibility. I felt invigorated by the sacred exchange, a new hunger igniting in my heart, a soulful quest for understanding beyond the challenges themselves. What extraordinary transformations lie ahead, veiled within the mysteries of prophecy and shadow? And how might I dance with the shimmering uncertainties of existence, weaving light through even the darkest threads? The forest thickened around me as I continued my journey, its breath wrapping me in an embrace of both mystery and familiarity. With each footfall, the whispers of the wind seemed to pull me deeper into its heart, echoing the words of the old woman, guiding me towards the truths lurking in shadows. The revelations gathered around me like fireflies, illuminating fragments of understanding that flickered and danced, beckoning me to bring them to light. Around a bend in the path, I stumbled upon a series of stones arranged in a spiraling pattern, each one etched with symbols I could not decipher, yet they radiated a magnetic energy that compelled me closer. It felt as though each stone was alive, pulsating with ancient stories waiting to unfold. I stepped carefully into the spiral, sensing that this formation was not merely decorative, it was a conduit, a meeting place of the seen and unseen. As I reached the center, the air shifted, thick with possibility. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, summoning the courage to delve further into the unknown. In that stillness, echoes of the past roared to lift, a cacophony of laughter, anguish, prayers, and dreams arose, swirling around me. Visions cascaded like autumn leaves, revealing snippets of lives entwined with the very prophecies I sought to understand. A figure materialized before me, cloaked in twilight. It was a young man, a mere flicker of a memory caught in the currents of time. He spoke with a voice that resonated as if the very earth beneath us vibrated with his wisdom. "What do you seek, traveler?" he asked, his gaze piercing through the veils of doubt that wrapped around my heart. "I seek clarity," I murmured, feeling the weight of unformed questions. "I wish to understand how these prophecies can connect our past to our present and shape our future." He nodded knowingly. "Prophecies are reflections of collective consciousness. They are not mere warnings of an end, but catalysts for awakening, for transformation. Humanity stands at a crossroad, where choices in this moment ripple into eternity." I felt a shiver of recognition. His words stirred something profound within me, igniting threads of interconnectedness that bound all who sought solace in the embrace of existence. But how do we hold on to hope when we're confronted with such darkness? The young man's expression softened. "Hope does not shine in the absence of darkness, it is forged within it. It arises from our struggles and our shared vulnerabilities. We must learn to cradle our fears, not to banish them but to understand the lessons they unfold. In recognizing our shared plight, we cultivate compassion and unite our spirits." As I absorbed his message, visions of communities torn apart by fear and misunderstanding flashed before me. Silenced voices rose from the depths of despair, showing me the fragmentation of humanity and the struggles we faced together. My heart ached with the burden of these revelations. What action can we take to course-correct this narrative? I asked, feeling the urgency swell inside me. "Listen and connect," he replied, his form flickering like a flame. "Seek the common ground where your heart beats in rhythm with others. Trust that vulnerability can inspire strength. It is in your willingness to share both light and shadow that the path to healing becomes visible." The spiral stones around me began to hum gently, resonating with his words. I opened my eyes and looked toward the shimmering horizon. I understood, at that moment, that the journey was both external and internal, a quest for unity, wisdom, and love. Each step forward would be an exploration into the heart of community, a dance with others' dreams, hopes, and fears. As the young man faded into the twilight, his final words lingered in the air like the dying notes of a symphony. The time is now, your perceived limitations are mere illusions. Dare to trust that the answers you seek exist within and around you. The prophecy is the awakening of the human spirit. With renewed resolve, I stepped out of the spiral, feeling the pulsating energy of interconnectedness flowing through me. The trees began to whisper secrets, and the stars blinked knowingly above in anticipation. With every breath, I sensed the underlying truth that our shared existence was an intricate blend of light and shadow, one that could transform us if we embraced it. And yet, as I walked deeper into the forest, a question hung heavy in my heart: what would it take for humanity to awaken collectively to this realization, and how would I play my part in this unfolding tale? Would we have the courage to embrace vulnerability and build bridges across our divides, illuminating the shadows with our truths? The path beyond the spiral led me deeper into the forest's embrace, where the foliage grew denser, cradling me in its verdant arms. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the ground, and with each step, the earth seemed to pulse beneath my feet, whispering secrets of the ancients, urging me onward. As I ventured further, the atmosphere thickened, and a gentle fog rolled in, swirling like memories just out of reach. I recalled the young man's teachings, his words echoing in my mind, igniting a desire to witness the interconnected tapestry of existence more clearly. What lay ahead felt like an unveiling, a revelation waiting to unfold. Suddenly, the path widened into a small glade. At its center stood a gnarled tree, its roots sprawling like fingers seeking an ancient truth hidden in the soil. The tree was unlike any I had ever seen, its bark etched with intricate patterns, weaving in and out like constellations scattered across the night sky. It radiated an energy that beckoned me closer. As I approached, I noticed small, delicate flowers blooming at its base, their petals contrasting against the rugged bark. Kneeling down, I inhaled their sweet fragrance, suddenly flooded with memories of childhood nights spent gazing at the stars, a time when wonder filled each moment. It struck me then that behind every sturdy exterior lay a life story, rich with struggles and victories, waiting for someone to recognize and honor its beauty. In that moment, a voice, soft yet resonant, broke through my contemplation. "You seek answers, dear one?" It was a woman's voice, soothing and warm like honey. I looked up to find an elderly woman, her hair silver, glimmering like moonlight. She sat against the tree, her eyes twinkling with wisdom. "Yes," I replied, my heart stirring with curiosity. "I want to understand how we can connect our individual journeys to create a collective awakening." She smiled gently, gesturing to the tree. "This tree is a keeper of stories, much like each individual you encounter. To connect, you must first listen to their stories, their pain, their joy. Each person you meet is a reflection of the whole. From their roots, your spirit draws nourishment, and from their branches, you may gather guidance." I nodded, absorbing her words, feeling the weight of collective stories converge within me. But how do I continue to foster those connections when the world feels so divided? I questioned, my thoughts racing with the complexities of our society. "The divide is an illusion," she countered softly. "A veil obscuring the truth that we are all part of one great tapestry. When you step into another's shoes, you peel back the layers of separation. It is the act of radical empathy, seeing the world through another's eyes, that sparks connection. Remember, too, that kindness is a currency priceless in its exchange." Her eyes bore into mine, filled with the unyielding strength of ages past. "When faced with despair, dare to sow seeds of compassion," she continued. "Each act creates ripples that spread beyond your awareness. A simple smile or kind word can mend broken spirits, acting as bridges over troubled waters." As she spoke, I found myself in a trance of vision, imagining how a single act of kindness could transform lives. A child receiving a compliment at school, the warmth of a friend's embrace during hardship, a stranger finding hope in shared laughter. I realized the power in tiny gestures could weave a network of joy, stitching the frayed edges of our communal fabric. The glade began to hum gently, the leaves rustling in harmonious agreement. I was overwhelmed by the understanding that our collective awakening hinged on the dedication to honor and uplift one another, seeing ourselves in the stories of those around us. As I prepared to thank the woman, the fog thickened once more, swirling around us. "One final truth," she whispered, her form beginning to dissolve into the mist. "The greatest mystery lies not in the prophecies themselves but in how you choose to live them. Reflect on your journey and ask yourself daily, how can I be a beacon of light in the darkness that surrounds us?" Her presence evaporated, leaving me amidst the sounds of the forest once again, filled with newfound resolve. I felt the enormity of my task ahead, not solely to seek answers for myself but to weave a narrative of hope alongside others. As I resumed my walk, a question emerged, echoing in my heart. In our quest to awaken, what interplay of individual stories must we honor to create a collective transformation? How do we ignite the courage within ourselves and others to become harbingers of compassion and understanding in a world yearning for connection? The path wound onward, each step pulling me deeper into the heart of the forest. A soft rustle above caught my attention, and I glanced up to see a hawk slicing through the air, its keen gaze scanning the earth below. My breath caught as I considered how it, too, was part of this fabric of existence, a creature navigating its own journey while embodying the freedom I yearned to embrace. Continuing forward, the foliage shifted, revealing a small stream that flowed rhythmically, mirroring the pulse of the ancient tree. I approached the water, its surface shimmering with a kaleidoscope of colors as it danced over smooth stones. Kneeling beside it, I peered into the depths, where sunlight met shadows, a reflection of the duality inherent in life, I mused. With my fingers trailing through the cool water, ripples radiated outward, connecting me to the world beyond my immediate reach. In that moment, I envisioned the intertwining stories of those around me, realizing each ripple in the stream was a soul's journey, colliding and converging to form a greater narrative. I was awash with an intense awareness of interconnection, yet also an underlying fear. What if those ripples only highlighted divisions rather than unity? Suddenly, a shimmering light flickered at the periphery of my vision, pulling me from my reverie. I turned to find a figure emerging from behind a cluster of ferns. It was a young man, his bearing confident yet approachable, with an energy that pulsated with curiosity. He paused, as if gauging my thoughts before speaking. "Isn't it beautiful?" he said, gesturing toward the stream with a spark in his eye. "The way we can disrupt the surface and yet still affect everything that lies beneath?" "Yes, it is," I replied, intrigued by his perspective. "But sometimes, I wonder if our actions cause more harm than healing. The world feels so heavy with division and suffering." He stepped closer, his expression thoughtful. "What you feel is a truth that many overlook. Yet within that heaviness lies the potential for tremendous growth. Divide can be the soil from which connection is nurtured, like flowers that bloom after a forest fire. Sometimes, destruction is necessary for renewal." His words struck a chord deep within me. I recalled the elderly woman's reminder of radical empathy and began to see a path illuminated before me. But how do we cultivate that renewal when despair can feel insurmountable? I asked, curiosity creeping into my voice. "Be why starting where you are," he said, looking directly into my eyes. "What little things can you do today to honor the stories of those around you? Each small act of kindness is an invitation for others to share their light, even in darkness. We heal collectively, fragment by fragment." With that, he reached into his satchel, pulling out a bright orange feather. It seemed to glow against the muted greens of the forest. "This feather has traveled far, carried kindness wherever it has gone. Keep it as a reminder of your ability to lift others, to ignite their inner fire." I accepted the offering, feeling its warmth pulse in my palm. Instinctively, I knew it was more than just a feather. It was a symbol of the interconnectedness we all had the power to nurture. As the young man prepared to depart, a weight settled on my heart. "What's your journey?" I inquired, curiosity piqued. "What brings you to this moment?" He smiled enigmatically. "I am merely a traveler, gathering pieces of wisdom where I can. Each encounter is a thread in my tapestry, revealing yet another layer of the greater mystery we are all part of. Just remember, your search for answers is equally valuable as the answers themselves." With those words, he faded back into the tree line, leaving me with a mind swirling in contemplation. I cradled the feather, reminding myself that every small act, every glance shared, carried weight. There was a lesson here in the delicate dance between each soul, the way we could bend toward one another, creating ripples in a vast ocean of experience. As I stood now beside the stream, the question lingered heavily in the air: what parts of myself am I willing to share, to weave into the lives of others, to create a stronger tapestry of connection? In a world where so much feels broken, how can we actively participate in its mending without losing sight of the threads that bind us? The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm golden hue across the landscape, illuminating the very edges of my thoughts. I took a moment to absorb the awe-inspiring sight, feeling as if the universe were shifting alongside me. The feather nestled gently in my hand, an unassuming yet profound reminder of the young man's words. Carrying a lifetime of stories, it urged me to continue the act of connection. Before I turned from the stream, I caught a glimpse of my own reflection, my face still familiar yet inexplicably altered by the moments I had encountered thus far. Beneath the surface, shadowy hints of who I used to be blended with the radiant flickers of potential that stood before me. What did it mean to evolve continuously? I knew then that this journey was not merely about seeking, but transforming. As the whispers of twilight crept into the forest, I decided to follow the gentle current of the stream, letting it guide my steps. The sound of water became a melody soothing and invigorating as I embraced the rhythms of the earth around me. It wasn't long before I stumbled upon a clearing, where the trees opened to reveal a shelter made of woven branches and leaves, as if the forest conspired to create a sanctuary. Curious, I stepped inside, noticing how the air felt thick with a sense of reverence. At the far end of the structure sat an elderly woman, her hair wild and silver, her skin etched with time. She raised her gaze, and immediately, I felt a connection that transcended words. In her presence, I sensed an ancient wisdom, as if she held the secrets of time itself within her. "Welcome, child of the wandering heart," she spoke softly, her voice like the rustle of leaves. "You seek answers, yet the questions you carry are where your true strength lies." I do feel unmoored, but I also feel a pull towards something greater," I admitted, feeling both vulnerable and emboldened. She smiled knowingly, a gentle breeze swirling around us. "To seek is to embrace the unknown, to dance with uncertainty. These very currents of doubt are the winds that can lift your spirit." "What do you wish to understand?" I hesitated, a multitude of thoughts battling for prominence. "I want to know how to navigate this world with purpose, how to mend the divides I see. I've felt the strength of connection, but I fear the fracture beneath it all." She nodded, and her eyes sparkled with understanding. "Every closeness has its shadows. Unity and division are two sides of the same coin. They exist in balance, waiting for you to engage with both. It is in the shadows we find our reflection, our stories intertwined with others. The path to healing is through embracing that duality." As she spoke, a vision unfolded before my eyes, countless threads weaving in and out of darkness and light, shaping a complex tapestry. Each thread represented choices made, experiences lived, and connections formed. Yet in this vivid dance of colors, I noticed gap spaces yearning to be filled. The thought struck me like a lightning bolt: the healing I sought was not merely of my own soul but a collective effort, threads interlacing in the greater design of existence. "What do you see?" she asked, drawing me back to the present. "I see the potential for stories to unite us," I said. "But how do we ensure that it leads to connection rather than division? How do we navigate our differences?" She leaned closer, and her voice dropped to a whisper, carrying the weight of ages. "Listen with your heart. Understand that sometimes it's the silence that speaks the loudest. Create spaces for others to share their whispers. Your presence can be a salve for wounds unseen. To connect is to embrace vulnerability, to allow your own voice to be both soft and fierce." As her words wrapped around me, I felt a soft nudge at my side, an unseen force urging me forward. Pulling away, I thanked her, the thoughts of connection swirling through my mind. I stepped out of the shelter, feeling the cool breeze brush against my face, invigorating my spirit. What lay ahead was uncertain, yet the intricate pattern of life beckoned me onward. The valley stretched before me, and as I walked along, I contemplated the words of the young traveler and the wisdom of the elder. Even though I left the clearing behind, her essence remained woven within me. How could I embody that wisdom and carry it forth? What stories needed sharing, and which connections, though fragile, could transform my understanding? as dusk settled, a new question settled alongside me, echoing softly beneath the rising stars. In what ways do my own shadows illuminate the stories of others, indicating a path to unexpected unity? As the night deepened, I felt the weight of my questions anchor me to the earth, whispering that my journey had only just begun. The moon hung high like a silver beacon, guiding my steps as I ventured deeper into the wilderness. Each footfall seemed to resonate with the heartbeat of the earth, an echo of a forgotten rhythm waiting to be remembered. The air was rich with the scent of pine and damp earth, while the soft rustle of nighttime creatures serenaded me into a contemplative trance. I was enveloped in the embrace of nature, and there, the weight of the questions I carried transformed into a kind of sacred curiosity. With each step, the insights from the elder danced across my consciousness. The interconnectedness of our stories felt alive, pulsing like the thread of fate. I found myself pondering the moments of disconnection I encountered, how often I had feared the depths of another's pain, retreating instead of reaching out. In that instant, the spark of understanding ignited within me. The divide I perceived was often built from unresolved fears, and perhaps my own silence had been complicit in its construction. I came upon a small pond, its surface reflecting starlight like scattered jewels on a dark canvas. It was serene, yet I noticed the occasional ripple disturbing its stillness. A voice, not loud but insistent, seemed to spring from the very water. "You seek unity, yet resistance resides in your heart." I approached the pond, kneeling at its edge to study my reflection once more, and saw a shadow lurking beneath the surface. "What do you mean?" I murmured, entranced by the voice. "Unity begins with acceptance of oneself, of others. The water that smooths the stone does so over time, through gentleness and perseverance," it replied, the ripples spreading outward like gentle reminders of life's patience. With this revelation, I began to see flickers of moments where I had resisted both my own vulnerabilities and those of others. I remembered conversations that had slipped into silence, held back by the fear of judgment, and the ache those unspoken words precipitated. To embrace our shadows is to live authentically, I spoke quietly to myself, acknowledging the inner work that lay ahead. The weight of that understanding settled within me like a stone, but it was layered with the potential for transformation. I realized that every encounter, whether light or shadow, was an opportunity to weave deeper connections. But how could I foster such an environment for others when I barely understood it for myself? In a heartbeat, the image of the elder emerged in my mind. Create spaces for others to share their whispers. Empowered by her wisdom, I resolved to take action. Small gestures at first, ripple effects that could spread. An invitation for a conversation, a listening ear, a gesture of kindness. Yet, a question lingered: would my offerings be met with the vulnerability I sought to commune with? This uncertainty carried me forward as I continued my journey, tracing the contours of the valley. I came across patches of wildflowers, their vibrant colors defying the silence of the night. Each bloom represented a story that had unfurled against the odds, fragile yet resilient. I knelt to touch a delicate petal and marveled at its tenacity, feeling a kinship with the life it breathed. "Each bloom emerges from shadows," I whispered, the truth sinking into my bones. It dawned on me that my own growth required embracing discomfort. Could I nurture my garden by accepting both my limitations and potential? The winds of change were here, but it was up to me to dance along their path. As the night deepened, I felt a stir within me, a call to adventure that transcended the physical. I closed my eyes and envisioned walking beside those I'd met along this journey, the young man with the feather, the wise elder, and even the whispered voice of the pond. What a tapestry we wove together, each thread a testament to our human experience. Yet, beyond the beauty of connection, a truth emerged that sent shivers down my spine. What if unity meant facing the very fractures we shunned? What did I risk by engaging with the rawness of life? Understanding this, I felt a flicker of fear, mingled with the glimmers of excitement. Epiphanies can be both illuminating and daunting. My heart raced, filled with the resolve to explore this question: what hidden truths have I yet to confront that might awaken deeper connections, both within myself and with others? The moon cast its soft glow across the landscape, urging me forward into a night ripe with possibility and promise. As I continued my journey, the open air swept past me, whispering that every step taken in vulnerability and courage would lead me closer to the unity I yearned for. The night unfurled before me, like a vast canvas etched with the whispers of an infinite journey. I found myself standing at a crossroads, where ancient trees loomed tall, their canopies woven tight, guarding the sacred pathways of the forest. The energy around me pulsed with an unexplainable rhythm, igniting a deeper awareness that surged in my veins. Each moment felt like a thread woven into the tapestry of life. Each encounter, each breath, was part of an intricate design waiting to be fully revealed. As I stepped deeper into the woodland, I could almost hear the echoes of voices past, mingling with the chill of the night air. The lessons I had gathered so far coalesced into a singular question: what if all my searching culminated in the realization that I was not just a seeker, but also a weaver? Every story I had encountered, every fear I had faced, formed strands of a greater narrative that reached far beyond my own existence. Then, in a clearing bathed in moonlight, I saw a circle of stones rising from the earth like cosmic anchors, grounding the energy swirling around us. At the center, radiating warmth and light, was a radiant orb similar to the one I had encountered before, yet different. It shimmered with the colors of the cosmos, drenching the clearing in an ethereal glow. The orb pulsed gently, inviting me forward. Stepping into the circle, I felt the air grow thick with possibility. As I reached out to touch the orb, waves of energy coursed through me, igniting long-dormant memories and insights. Visions unfurled like the leaves of a book, revealing the interconnectedness of our human experience. I could see fragments of lives, slaughter and tears, dreams and disappointments, all woven into a born narrative fueled by the cosmic dance of life. Embrace the wholeness of your being, whispered a voice that transcended time and space, echoing from within the orb. Only then can you awaken the truths hidden in the shadows. A flood of understanding washed over me. It was profound yet simple. All the pain, uncertainty, and joy I had experienced was not mine alone but belonged to the collective. In moments when I felt lost or fragmented, it was crucial to remember that connection was born of vulnerability, a willingness to share my whole self, including the stories of heartache and triumph. I closed my eyes, surrendering to the energy swirling around me. In that sacred moment, it became clear that each of us is both the weaver and the thread. We all carry the power to connect with others, to build bridges of understanding and compassion, even when facing our own darkness. Suddenly, a vision sprang forth. Me journey ahead illuminated by the light of this awakening. I imagined standing together with others, people I had not yet met but had already affected deeply. Friends, strangers, souls yearning for connection. Together, we would share our narratives, making space for our shadows and illuminating them with the truth of our collective journey. As the vision faded, a sense of calm settled within me. I felt a resolution taking root deep in my heart. I understood then that my path was not a solitary one. It was an invitation to engage, to uplift, and to engage every story with respect, even those that appeared harsh. Be a beacon, the voice echoed once more, urging me to step beyond my fears. Light the way for others, and in doing so, you will be lit up in return. Emerging from the circle, I knew this journey would not end here. I was transformed, yet I carried an exquisite responsibility to weave the threads of my experience into the larger narrative of humanity. In sharing my struggles and triumphs, I would inspire others to do the same, continuing a chain reaction of love and understanding. As the dawn began to break, the first rays of sunlight filtered through the branches, promising renewal and hope. The forest thrummed with life, and I smiled, feeling the embrace of the universe surrounding me. In this communion of beings, I found my profound insight: the end is never truly the end, it always leads to new beginnings, forged in our willingness to dare, connect, and grow. With every step I took toward the horizon, my heart resonated with the truth that echoed within me: healing begins when we confront our shadows, understand our stories, and weave them into the shared tapestry of existence. And so, I walked forward into the light, committed to embracing my role as a weaver of connection, ready to illuminate the path for myself and every soul I met along the way, for together, we could create a world where shadows transformed into light, a cosmic dance of truths realized.